Hello everyone. Today we're going to take a look at MapMagic 2, which is a way you can procedurally develop your terrains or generate terrains in Unity. MapMagic 2, I'm going to cover this because it is free, and it's actually pretty interesting and amazing what you can do just with the free version. As you can see, he has other modules. But MapMagic 2 allows you to create terrains with textures on it, and you can put grass in that, and it will generate infinite terrains from that. So some of these other uh, optional modules are for biomes. If you want different biomes, you could actually seamlessly blend between biomes. And you have objects, which allows you to put trees and rocks procedurally on your procedural terrains. I would think the objects one is pretty important to get. Maybe you want to you could buy it for 45, or you could wait for a sale. I think is on sale sometimes, but definitely objects would definitely be recommended. And I really like the biomes because imagine you can have one level in your game which goes from like the desert into a forest level into a snow area. You can have all different areas in your map in one level. So you could have like a single level game that has just one level, but the whole game is being procedurally generated from all these different biomes. So I mean that is pretty good too. So and the splines one allows you to generate roads and rivers as well. And brushing, you can brush in your terrain similar to the Unity terrain editor, I guess. But for today, I'm going to take a look at MapMagic 2, the free, um, the free add-on here, the free package here. So um, yeah, out of the box, it works also with CTS, Megasplat, Microsplat, Vegetation Studio Pro. So I haven't really tried it with those. So we're just going to take a look at the base module today and see what it does. So let's just get into Unity. So yeah, so I'm just going to create a built-in pipeline project. Just call it MapMagic 2 and create the project. All right, so Unity's loaded, and I'm using 2022.3.20, the latest version, LTS version. So we're just going to load in MapMagic 2 from the My Assets. MapMagic 2, but it's a very small download, only 113 megabytes. And I'll just import that. Right, so it finished downloading and installing. And so we've got MapMagic. So there's two ways where we can start creating a MapMagic object. So first way is you go into here, create an asset. You can create an empty or a simple graph. I'm just going to create a simple graph. It gives you a little bit of a template to start with. So if it'll create a MapMagic graph object here. And we can say open editor. So let's open the editor. And for this, I do like to put this down here. So we have the scene on top and the rest of it on the bottom, and we can move the hierarchy as well over here, just to give us more room. So what we do here in this graph, you can scroll wheel in and out and press Alt and drag to pan it around. And so what it's given us here is a noise, an erosion, and a height node. There's nothing in the scene yet, so we need to And it says it's not assigned to a MapMagic object, so we do need a MapMagic object. So we can create one in here in the 3D object, MapMagic. So that creates your MapMagic object. And then you can take your graph and assign it into the graph right there. And there it is. And we're below it, so we have to come up. So it has created a graph based on these nodes, so by default. So the graph here is using Perlin noise. So it's made with these different nodes. So they have an input node, which is noise, and you can right click and get into the add menu here. The initial, so you can use constant, import, noise. Noise is what we normally would use to generate terrains. So you can use Unity noise, you can use Perlin, linear, or simplex. So you can play around with those and see what those things do. You can change the size and the intensity. The other thing we can do here is the settings here for the tile. So each terrain tile will be 1,000. So you can change that there. The height node here, this is an output node. So if it's height, right? So it's outputting the height map. And there's other types of output nodes for different for textures or for grass or for some other things. But for this, we're getting a height map out of it. So, and then it's putting a modifier to add some erosion to it. So we can change the number of iterations it does, give more erosion. It's simulating like real world like erosion from water. So, depending on how much more you want, it'll create more flatter areas where it's been eroded away. You can change so you can also change the height here too. You can make it higher or lower, and it just puts the checkerboard texture on it by default. So this will generate an infinite terrain in play mode. So if you look at the infinite terrain, it's turned on by default, so it will generate an infinite terrain. So when you travel in this map, you can keep going forever. Which is pretty cool. You don't have to really do anything. So what do we want to? How do we do that? Like, we don't have any controller right now, so let's use another free asset called the modular first-person controller, which I've used before. It's actually pretty good. So it's also small. It's 366K download. It's a really small download. It's free on the asset store, so go download that. And then that will give us an easy way of dragging and dropping in a character controller so that we can walk around in the world. So that's why I like this one, because this modular first-person controller works out of the box. So first-person controller, just drag it onto the map, putting it near the edge. So the only thing I don't like, it also puts up a reticle as well by default, and it uses the canvas UI. So yeah, the only little quirk with modular first-person controller is it's difficult to initially position it because this thing is way up here, but the actual camera is somewhere else. It's way over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete this. I'm going to drag in a new one like that, and then you can see your capsule right there. And then you want to move it up so that it's above the ground. So that's like the best way of doing it. Otherwise it's a little weird because it's got this, the origin is way up there and it should be down here. It's just because of this reticle. That's why. So anyway, we got our first person controller dragged and dropped, and then we can just go into play mode, and it's not going to work because we have to delete the main camera because it's going to pick up the main camera. So once we delete it, then we can go into play mode. And now we can walk around our terrain. So, and it will automatically keep generating terrain. No matter where you go, you can keep going forever. Let's go up here. I think it's close to the edge. It'll just keep generating new terrains forever, basically. Just keep going the same direction. Oh, we're stuck. But if I make the, and so basically, let's say we don't want it to be that too much. So we can take a look at changing the size. And you want to zoom out for this because it's gonna, yeah, you want to zoom right out to see what the overall effect is. So if we want to change the detail down, it takes a minute to regenerate. When you do that, you get a different look. So this is different, right? It's totally different. More walkable areas, I guess. You can, let's see, take a look right down and get, more of this kind of an effect. Pretty cool. And you can change the seed, which completely changes the random seed. So you can get a different starting terrain every time. Change the size. The bigger you get it, the more or less it's going to blow it up. So you're going to get like a sand dune effect when you turn it up higher. So you turn down the detail, you turn up the size, and you get sand dunes basically. And then it'll be infinite when you put your controller down, which will be below zero. Oh, it's below the ground right now. So if we just lift it up, and then we can walk around that. Now you're in an endless desert. Okay, get my. So, and you can see there, there's nothing there, but when you get over there, there will be something because it's going to generate it automatically. So seamless generation, and then now what we want to do is let's put some texture down. So let's add, we want to add and output textures. And MapMagic 2 comes with some textures, so we're going to add a layer here. And these are just regular texture layers. They have grass and cliffs by default, so I'm going to just do some green grass base texture. This is just the texture. And then we can put another layer, and the layer, next layer. Now this one, so the first one's the background. The next one will be like a cliff texture, so we can, it won't display anything by default. You have to input something to it. So if you want to put the erosion, you can do that, and then it will blend it based on the amount of erosion. But probably don't want to do that. But what we can do is put a slope modifier in here and say, well, only from on the higher slopes, 60 maybe, or 10. So you can play around with these, and it will either reduce or change the rock texture to be only on the higher slopes, and down or in the higher slopes you'll get the grass, and then depending on what you're selecting here, and then you get this rock texture. So, but I mean that's basically it. And then if you want to add grass, you can add grass and output grass. So the grass module, they have some grass that's comes with it with their demo. It's called sedge, and we just basically, let's get down here where I can take a look at it. But you can output this erosion into the grass and change this to billboard, and basically, and then there it is. There's your grass. If you want to see this better, I'm going to, and then you can change the width and the height. You can min and max width based on it's random. So you want to make taller grass, you can do that. And there's what it's going to look like in the game view. So you can, so we can make it bigger, smaller. You can change the density too, so you can pump up the density to get more or less. You can change the healthy and the dry colors, similar to what you do with the base Unity. You can change the colors, and there we go. We have grass. So now when we press play, now you can see there is a draw distance on this grass. So it's probably, well, you're better off to create terrains where you can't see too far. Like have more hills. It's probably good. Because it will fill it in as you get there, but it's all there. So I think you might be able to change the properties here too, the trees, details, and grass. There is a tree distance, but the thing is, you can't procedurally put trees in. You could place them manually with the Unity terrain tools, though, just based on this terrain. You come into the tile, but the problem with that is it will get replaced if the tile gets regenerated. So this is why the objects, what the objects module gets you, you'd be able to procedurally put trees out automatically and for infinite terrains, right? What you can do with MapMagic free version is you can pin these tiles. You can pin tiles. So you can have multiple tiles in this world. So you can say pin new tile. You can say, oh, I want 4 tiles, right? So it'll now generate 4 tiles in edit mode. And then whatever changes you make to these are going to be static in play mode, right? So you'll come in here and do that, and then it'll stay the same. Um, and you can also pin them as draft as well. That's just for, and it'll put like lower res ones around. So you can, here it has dotted lines. So those will be lower resolution. Just for you to take a look at, I guess. And then, or you can unpin them as well. You can get rid of them. But, and then just, it'll, at runtime, it'll take the pinned ones and it will generate around them, basically. So you could have your level designed in one area, or just have one tile that's like a key area in your in your in your in your world or whatever. So you could have this key area that has like a city in it or something, and then you can it's pinned, right? So it's not going to change. So you could put down all your manually put in all your objects or whatever, and they'll stay the same. And and then everything around it will automatically generate infinitely. So that is one way around that. Um, you can put locks too, so you can lock certain areas of a map. Um, so here's the lock. This area right here, you could say, well, you can specify where it is that you want it locked. Let's say you put something like a building or something, and you don't want nothing to change around it. So you can put it inside this lock area and put as a transition to it too. So you can manually make changes to terrains, and it won't touch the stuff that's inside the locked area, which is pretty cool. And I do find that sometimes when you're pinning multiple terrains, there's these little, sometimes it actually you can fall through the map. So I would be careful with those. The seams sometimes are a little bit off. So just have to take a look at it. But normally it works pretty good. So that's MapMagic. There's many more things you can do with it. So what I recommend is it comes with a manual how to use. But the manual here, that was the other one. It comes with this manual, so it tells you how to install it and quick start. But more useful, I find, is the developer has a playlist on YouTube here that steps you through all the features and how to use it. So I recommend watching that. And then you can also decide which one of the modules you need and which ones you could do without. Myself, I could picture using just the core base module um, to make a game like an infinite terrain game, maybe like infinite off-roading, um, sort of like a driving game or a flying game where you fly over the terrain. it comes with these graphs, minute island. So like you can these sort of demos, right? And then so it's now generating multiple of these, but I could picture like a flight simulator automatically like generating new terrain forever, and you could like generate objects or things to fly through and stuff like that. So like there's a lot of different applications for this type of infinite terrain generation. And the good thing is when it builds, it's a very small build, so you can publish a game for about like 200, less than 200 megabytes, and your whole game. So it's actually pretty performant and lightweight. So it's really good. And so here's our terrain. And then so that's about it. So that's it for MapMagic 2. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. I will be back next time with another asset store review, I guess. And we're gonna look at something else in the asset store that I personally like and want to use in games. So if you want to stay tuned for that, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.